Hi, welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video today. We are going to be repotting the Brassavola nodosa that I bought in the spring of 2022, and hopefully it will not be a difficult repot. So today I will be using supplies from our sponsor, the Orchid Supply Store. There is their website. Let me just zoom in a little bit for those of you who are like me and can't see very well. But if you go to their website, orchidsupplystore.com, and make your purchase at checkout in the gift certificate coupon code, use the code TRISH and you'll get 12% off your entire order. I did have a viewer who said that they had some issues with that code. I did reach out to Ken. Ken has verified that the code is working, and several of you have used the code, so thank you so much. I hope you continue to do so. So how are we getting from this to this? Keep watching so you can see what she looks like outside of the pot and how we came to the decision of putting her into this opaque pot. See you there. So I think I have everything that I am going to need. I have, of course, the Brassavola nodosa. I've got my hydrogen peroxide, sterilized whiskers, pot choices. I've got some of the large orchiata bark just in case we use one of the other pots here, depending on what we use. And then I have my mix that is the medium orchiata. It has perlite, and there is a little bit of tree fern left in here. I just kind of added to the mix that I had used for the hibiki. All right, and let's start with our gloves. Now, I purchased this lady back in the spring of 2022 from Nick's Garden Center here in Denver, Colorado. I did not write down the month that I purchased her, but I'm almost certain that I bought her in April-May timeframe. Not 100% sure, but there is her tag. And normally I would write at least the month on there, but this go around I did not. But since I've had her, she has put on a tremendous amount of growth. All of these growths that you see here, the ones that are inside, we've got growths coming here. She is literally growing out of her pot. Normally I was wanting to wait until spring to encourage growth, but she is doing it anyway, so I've been soaking her all week for an hour a day, and then today I have soaked her for about 2 hours, and today she got her CalMag soak. So she had CalMag and seaweed, and I did soak her for a couple of hours, and I believe that worked because she is now really getting loose in this pot. So, Patricia, you might be right. This might not be as difficult as I had imagined it was going to be, because I was dreading doing this. So I'm trying to make sure that all the roots, and I don't see any roots coming out through the bottom, so that is good. And let me take the stake that and I bought her in bloom. I'll post pictures if I can find them. I still haven't organized anything. So her root system is actually not as extensive as it would appear, because look here, we have a lot of dead roots, but we do have some fresh roots that are hydrating, so that will keep her going. And I'm going to just gently remove this old media, and then I will be cutting off the old roots as much as I can. I'm not going to force any of the media off. If it comes off gently, I'll take it off, but if it wants to stay, I'm going to leave it, because I do not want to damage the velamen, the outer coating of the root that helps protect the root and provides the nourishment that it needs. Like I said, not very many roots in here, but she does have all of these newer roots that are producing a new root system for her, and they are hydrating, because for those of you who watch Nina from Ninja's Orchids, she has said in the past that her Brassavola, she has noticed, the newer roots tend to be more Teflon or resist the water. I found that with my my Brassavola crosses. I haven't found it with all of them, but some of them. And then my Brassavola little stars, her roots, when they first come out, don't want to absorb any water either. Now, I can't say whether it is previous year's roots that do absorb. I haven't paid attention that long, but I am watching my little stars, which I have one on a mount and one in a pot that is not doing rather well. So if I lose the one in the pot, that's fine, because the one on the mount is just going crazy. So what I'm doing is most of these roots, I'm just able to pull them off. So I'm trying to not use the fiskers if I can help it, so that I don't cut off a viable root, as we are prone to do sometimes when we have a root system that is a little more fine and compacted. I am going to cut that one, and I am just also taking off some of the old velamen to kind of give me something to help support her in the middle, because she's not got any roots left in this middle older section, which I guess is normal but kind of upsetting at the same time. Luckily, I did decide to do this now, because most of her roots would have started growing outside of the media, and I would not have been able to keep up with her requirements. Now, they do like that wet-dry cycle, but they don't want to stay dry too long, especially if they don't have anything to support them. Let me just look up under here real quick. I believe that is all we need to do to her. Just get some more of these older ones off, and then I will kind of clip this one here. It is from a newer root, but this portion here is dried off. It was growing outside of the pot, that portion was. So I'll just clip it back. She is looking rather nice, and I broke a new growth. Was not paying attention. Look at this. Just snapped it. Well, that is one of the side effects of repotting, and I wasn't paying attention, so there she is. I'm not going to pull off any of the sheaths or anything like that. I'm just going to leave them on there for now. I usually would like to pull those off, but I have learned that sheaths are an important part of the plant. As with everything else in nature, if they have it, it's there for a reason, and the reason being is it helps protect any possible blooming. So let me just pay attention to what I'm doing now, since I just broke a new growth. I'm so upset with myself on that one. Luckily, she's got plenty of other new growth. So what I'm doing now is I'm just cutting off any brown tips that are on any of these aerial roots, kind of taking off those that don't serve a purpose. And I'm thinking I am going to take off these two. This one here, I'm just going to cut it though. I'm not going to take it all the way off, because there is a new growth right here. And I am going to take out this little seedling one here, and I feel like there's more than one plant in here, but I'm not going to separate it. I'm just going to plant it into this. And you know what? No, we're just going to leave that on there. We'll leave it on there. I'm not going to mess with it, because if I start messing with it, I'm going to end up messing something else up. So this is all that we took off. Not very many roots like I was showing you earlier. Now, pot choices. Let me spray her with her hydrogen peroxide real good. And then while she is fizzing, we are going to look at some pot sizes for her and see what we want to do. I have a couple of more little ones that kind of gave up at the end tip there. Let's just cut them off, see if we can encourage them to grow out a little bit more. Finish spraying her down. And I'm just going to spray where I cut that new growth that we broke off. I say I broke off. And there's a little black tip right there we'll cut off. And spray the end of that. Douse her down really good. Really good. But I'm still thinking there's two plants in here, just from the way that it's, because if you look, there's little seedling growths right down in here, and then we have seedling growths on this side as well. So I'm not sure if that right there was the original plant and it just kind of spread out from there, or if they put two together to make it look more full. Either way, we're keeping it together. All right. And you know what? Nope, because I'll end up breaking one of those roots, and then I'm going to be really upset with myself, because these roots are her future. And of course, I am going to have to make sure I stay diligent on making sure to keep her hydrated over the next 3 months. So here are my pot choices. So I was looking at the octagon basket, because as we know, they like the wet dry cycle as stated before, and I think that she would do well in here. She's got room to grow, so I could leave her in here for a few years, and then once I need to repot her, I can just, you know, cut the basket off of her. So there's option one. Option two is this 6-inch, I believe it's a 6-inch, 12 centimeter, 15 centimeters, so 6-inch clear pot. Does not have any any holes on the outside, but it does have these nice big drainage holes at the bottom. Again, if we put her in here, she's got lots of room for growth. And if I put her in this one, I will put her kind of lower just so that she doesn't stay wet too long. And again, that's where the large bark chips would come in. I would put some of those at the bottom and then fill her up to kind of make the pot a little bit smaller, because I like the width of this pot. Then we have the 5-inch slotted pot, slightly opaque, not fully opaque, just slightly opaque, that has the nice cone, nice air holes, nice holes at the bottom. The problem with this one though, and it's because it's a circle, I feel like she's going to outgrow this one a lot quicker. So I'm not 100% sure how I want to go about doing it. I do like the idea of the slots in this one and then all the holes in this one to get that quick dry cycle going. But then at the same time, excuse me, if I do that, I'm going to have to make sure to water her more often. And the heat's getting ready to come on, so it's going to get warmer, meaning things are going to dry faster. Whereas if I put her in here, then she'll stay wet longer, but will it be too much moisture, and then the new roots are going to desiccate. Decisions. So let me get a little sip of coffee, wipe my hands off, get a sip of coffee while I ponder myself here what I'm going to do. And she is still going to sit on the shelf, and she's got perlite, and perlite tends to create some algae around it when it's not protected, because I don't have a decorative pot as of yet for either one of these. We're going to go with the opaque, slightly opaque pot. And these are sold at Orchid Supply. Everything that I'm using as far as potting supplies is from Orchid Supply. I'll put their website and my code in the description below. Let me know if you've ordered from them recently. What did you get? Did you like it? Have any issues? Let me know. All right, so we're still going to put some large bark at the bottom to help with a drainage. Hopefully this works out in my favor. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to put some of media mix. I'm going to go ahead and put some of my mycorrhizal fungi, haha, I said it right this time, down here at the bottom to help create a healthy root system. Put just a wee bit more. There we are. Didn't put that much. And then I'm going to do another layer of a little bit of bark on top of that, and then some of my slow release fertilizer. So I have developed a little system for myself to remember to add my slow release fertilizer prior to completing my repot. I make sure it's right in my face, and as I'm starting to get the media into the pot of my choice, then I add those two things now to my pot to ensure that I added them at the right time, not at the end. So let's see, she doesn't have a lot of roots at the bottom, but she's got these nice roots on the side. So with that said, let me find a spot I can hold her that doesn't have a new growth so that I'm not squeezing too hard. All right, so we're gonna hold her about right there and then get her filled in. You have the Brassavola nodosa. If you do you love her? Or you're like, she's not what I was expecting. I did purchase her in bloom, as I already said. Her scent, it was mild. She didn't have that strong, overpowering scent that you hear people talk about at night. She did have her scent. It was pleasant. It was not overpowering, and I'm thinking that might have something to do with the fact that she was almost done with her bloom. Her blooms were starting to go over when I purchased her. But I saw her and I said, well, she's a healthy looking thing. Let me go ahead and get her. And by taking her out of that old media, freshening her up, I'm hoping that encourages her to continue growing. Now I'm just wiggling this down. I'm not really pressing too hard. I'm wiggling it enough to get it up under her so she has something to sit on. And the media, when I took it out, it didn't smell bad. It didn't smell old. It did need to be refreshed, but it wasn't going over. So had her roots been a little more healthy and she wasn't growing out of the pot, she would have been fine in that nursery pot for a while. Right. I will finish getting her potted up and then we'll come back and see what she looks like. So looking at her, she's probably going to outgrow this pot within a year or so. Probably closer to a year. So I am going to try and position her in a way so that she has a little more time in this pot. She is kind of snug, but that's all right. She's used to being snug, so we'll keep her snug for now. And then maybe if I have to repot her again in a year, I'll put her in a much, I'm going to say much larger than this one. This way she's kind of helps establish herself a little bit better in here. Grow a few more roots, a few more new growths, get a little stronger. She is already pretty snug in here. Or should I just go ahead and put her in that bigger pot now? Let's see. Because here's what she looks like right now, guys. You see, this side is already right at the edge. Now she's got plenty of room right here, but she's got several new growths right here coming that are going to grow out of this pot sooner than I'd like it to. You know what? I'm just going to leave her in here. And if I have to up-pot her, I'd rather up-pot her because that'll be a lot easier than taking her out again and disturbing her now that she's kind of settled in. So let me press down to get her in there nice and snug. And I'm just pressing on the top. I'm not pressing on any of the roots, just right at the top. And the roots that she had, those long ones, are inside the media. One of the roots was trying to escape a slot already. So what I did is I just, when you saw me squeeze it, I don't know if that is going to stay in the video, but I did squeeze the sides just to get that media around that root and get that root out of the slot. Let's see. I'll put a little bit more media here, right by this little seedling growth. There's a nice pretty root that I'd like to encourage to keep going down. There it is. Okay, put a little piece of perlite there. And then this one here, this little section of new growths, will kind of encourage that to stay in the pot as well, as long as we can. Well, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it, and yet I keep adding the media like I've made up my mind. I think I'm just doing that to keep my hands busy while my mind is racing with, should I leave her in here or should I take her out and put her into this one here, because she does have, it's a wider rim and she will have more space. You know what? She's in here. Let's just leave her alone, Trish. Let me leave her alone. If you didn't get to see the Hibiki repot, I will link that down in the description below. And if you decide to go to Orchid Supply Store and buy yourself some things, remember to use my coupon code TRISH at checkout for 12% off everything. Here she is. So she's got plenty of room back here. My concern is the sides. But what do? You got to let the ladies do what they got to do, right? And she is a little wobbly, but not too wobbly, so I'm not going to try to stake and stick anything in there. because now I don't know where the roots are and I don't want to damage any of the roots that she has. Now let's see her bloom again in probably next year. She does have a little sheath right down in there. I'll do a close-up so you can see, but she does have a little sheath that she's had for a while, and it's not dried out. It still has a little green to it, so maybe she will bloom. Maybe she's just needed a little refresher course here. I'll give her a little run through just to wash out any of the debris and kind of settle the media a little bit, but I'm not going to soak her or anything like that like I normally would, because she's not had that wet dry cycle, full dry cycle in a week, and I don't want to rot anything on her. Guys, hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to go check out the Orchid Supply Store. They do have orchids, not just supplies, and their orchids are great. I've gotten 3 of them now, and they've all been really well, very healthy, and doing marvelous in my climate of my home. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I will see you guys on the next one.